so if that gives off spicy, which I really don't think it does. I feel like I'm like kind of quiet.
Spice?
No, I just not spicy. Huh?
Aliyah Boston, 12 points, 11 rebounds, and a win. At least when she get double-doubles, they tend to win ball games, unlike Angel Reese.
I mean, I feel like for me, it's just my approach. It's just coming in and just trying to be dominant in anything the team needs.
They were drawing like 800,000 with Caitlin Clark for the Fever.
Caitlin Clark was gone for the season, and everyone thought Indiana was finished. But instead of collapsing, the Fever just punched their ticket to the playoffs, and they did it by demolishing the Mystics. How does a team missing their superstar rookie win a blowout like that? The answer begins with Aliyah Boston, who didn't just play, she set the tone for the entire roster. And trust me, you're going to want to hear the words she dropped after the game that prove this run is about way more than survival.
Through everything, you're able to see that, us play with joy, us play together, regardless of who's on that floor. Just being someone in this locker room, you never doubt yourself and what you're capable of, no matter what happens. And that was really our mindset. We never doubted ourselves. We never doubted that we could be in the playoffs. Even if things looked like it got harder, for us, it was about sticking together. The entire staff, up to the head, just made great decisions when people went down on who to bring in, the type of people to bring in. And
before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video.
94-65 was the final. Ariel Powers, 15 points. Natasha Howard, 17. Kelsey Mitchell, yeah, okay. 4 of 10 for 10 points.
Imagine walking into a locker room where every time you look around, the nameplates above the lockers keep changing. One night you've got a teammate next to you, and the next week she's gone, replaced by someone you barely know. That's exactly what the Indiana Fever dealt with this season. 18 different players suited up, shuffled in and out like a revolving door.
How many people were showing up to these games because they thought Caitlin Clark was going to come back for the playoffs? By the way, they're claiming that this game was a sellout. That's what they said on the TV. They may have sold out, technically, but a lot of people chose not to show up.
So picture yourself on that roster. Every game feels like you're learning someone new, while also trying to stay locked in when people outside are already predicting your season is over. How do you even keep belief alive in that? Caitlin Clark's injury didn't just hurt on the court. Her presence was the reason fans filled arenas, the reason the headlines even mentioned Indiana again after years of sliding down the standings. When she went down, analysts said point blank that the Fever's offense would fall apart. A rookie doing so much suddenly gone? For most teams, that's a knockout punch. And everyone knew it. Television panels, podcasts, social media, all called them finished. It wasn't even a debate. Inside, though, it was even more chaotic.
Pride. Like, I'm really proud of these guys. Most teams would have, with all of the stuff that we've been through, most teams would have folded. We've accomplished a goal, but there's also, a mindset of we still have work to do. These women in the locker room deserve a lot of credit for their ability to stay resilient, to stay together, to stay hungry, and to stay the course.
Imagine watching the rotations change daily, lineups barely lasting a week, trying to build chemistry on the fly while losses piled up. When a team has 18 players cycling in and out, it's not just numbers, it's confusion. Who takes the last shot? Who sets the screens? Who's running the play at the top of the key? Every role feels temporary. You start hearing the whispers even more. The idea that maybe the season is too far gone.
It was a small arena. Look, no Chloe Bibby, no Sophie Cunningham, no Caitlin Clark. Michaela Timpson might as well be in a witness protection program. She got 5 minutes and 15 seconds. It's nasty-ass work by Stephanie White. It's going to be, I'm going to be very interested to see what these ratings are like.
And for a young team that hadn't sniffed the playoffs in years, the pressure of win now or shut it down hits different. Think about that. You've got rookies and sophomores carrying a weight that even veterans struggle with, all while teammates are in and out like it's preseason. The Mystics game wasn't just another matchup. It was win or stay home. You're talking about a group who's been told all year they're nothing without Clark, standing across from Washington in a do-or-die battle. The emotional load sitting on every single player's shoulders was heavier than anything they'd carried before. This is where Aliyah Boston stepped up.
That's right. There we go. Long three. Dantas did, in fact, score. That wasn't bad. That was a nice little post move she put on. Leah Boston right here.
Rebound, took out her own
Let's
teammate.
just check it out. She going to drive into the paint.
Her box score numbers were important. Rebounds, points in the paint. But what changed the game wasn't written down. It was the tone she set before they even hit the floor. Players remember moments, and one of those came when Boston stood in that locker room and spoke. She didn't dance around the situation. She told the group they never doubted themselves. They never bought into the outside noise. One sentence flipped the energy in the room. Now imagine being Lexi Hull, fighting for minutes all season, hearing your leader say she believes in you no matter what rotation you land in. Imagine Ariel Powers, a veteran who watched the rotation shuffle right in front of her, suddenly hearing that this patchwork roster was still a family. That's fuel. Several players later admitted how emotional it got because they didn't feel like they were surviving anymore.
Do I think that they might have made maybe the semifinal or something? Yeah, it depends on who they draw. What would this team look like with a mostly healthy Caitlin Clark back? You know, they beat the Mystics. The Mystics kind of fell off a cliff.
They felt empowered. A shift happened right there in the room. Boston's choice of words mattered. She didn't use fear, she used belief. She didn't talk about pressure, she talked about joy. There's something game-changing about that, because for weeks the conversation had been about what Indiana lacked. Without Clark, without stability, without consistency.
But yeah, I feel like that's just been my mindset, is just coming in and just being the player that I need to be for us. And so if that gives off spicy, which I really don't think it does. I feel like I'm like kind of quiet.
Spice?
No, I just not spicy. Yeah.
Boston reframed it as, look at what we have. That switch turned a room full of tension into a team that finally felt free to play again. In that moment, the Fever weren't just trying to imitate their style when Clark was healthy. They actually built a new identity. They weren't leaning on one player or one system anymore. They leaned on each other, and Boston's words made that possible. And the crazy part is what came next on the court backed it up. All the belief she preached showed up in the third quarter against Washington, when the Fever not only kept control, but completely broke the game open, turning her speech into action in real time. This win wasn't just about moving forward in the playoffs. It felt like the beginning of a reset for the Fever, where depth and leadership mattered more than one name on the scoreboard. The pieces around Boston proved they could hold their own, which changes everything about this team's future. And here's the question every fan is asking now. If they can look this sharp without their superstar, what happens when Caitlin Clark steps back on the floor? Gainbridge is about to host playoff basketball for the first time since 2016, and you're going to want to see what's next.